Should you get the snip? No, I'm not talking about haircuts. I'm talking about vasectomies. The best form of contraception bar becoming a monk. Well, it probably depends on a number of factors. Perhaps you already have a couple of kids and don't want any more. Or maybe you're in your 40s and 50s, financially well off and dating younger women who, shall we say, don't share your views on additional children. Or there may be another reason. The financially well-off part seems to be a major factor. A Manhattan urologist, David Schusterman, was quoted in this article as claiming, "I never see a poor guy asking for a vasectomy. Rich guys are a population that's abused a lot." Well, that may have something to do with the fact that he's in Manhattan. But he adds, this extortion happens all the time. Women come after them. They get pregnant and want a ransom payment. Some guys do an analysis of the cost. For 3 days of discomfort, it's worth millions of dollars to them. They don't want to be in the situation of being accused of fathering an unwanted baby, said Dr. Joseph Alukal, a urologist at NYU. That's their fear, being told you're paying for this kid until it's an adult. Still, even if you're not rich, paying for a child you didn't want should still be a concern. But rich guys are targeted for this. Take this example. John, a 34-year-old bachelor who had the procedure this month, is a real estate developer and Upper West Side resident who said he can have a different sex partner in the Hamptons every weekend. Doesn't want a repeat of last summer when a woman he met at a party tried to pull a fast one after sex. She offered to dispose of the used condom, but when she was in the bathroom for a while, John got suspicious. He found the woman seated on the toilet and inserting his semen inside of her. She denied it, but she tried to get herself pregnant, said John, who grabbed a towel and made her clean herself and then shower. After that, I have to be a lot more careful, especially now he's bought a $1.5 million Southampton house. I'm a single guy doing well. More girls come along. The vasectomy, he added, is insurance. As added insurance, John has frozen his sperm in case he decides to one day have children with a woman he loves. Schusterman recommends this to patients and points out that reversing a vasectomy has a success rate of about 50%. It's not that they don't want kids, he said. They don't want kids on other people's terms. That's right, because once you've knocked her up, the choice is no longer yours. Manhattan matrimonial lawyer Ira Gass said of such unplanned paternity cases, "I deal with this every year. There's potential to pay out a lot of money. Child support is 17% of a father's salary up to $400,000, after which the amount is at a judge's discretion, according to Gar. For someone who makes $1 million a year, Gar estimates annual payments of $100,000, a total of $2.1 million until the child turns 21. Meanwhile, a vasectomy is typically covered by insurance or costs $1,000 out of pocket. Not a bad investment if you have a lot to lose." Now, before you demonstrate how woke you are and post the link to Bill Burr's famous bit on gold-digging whores, yes, I think we've all seen it. But in case you haven't, there's a link pinned to the top of the comments section. Another article appeared just a couple of weeks ago in the Daily Mail, and yes, being the Daily Mail, obviously the headline is sensationalised, but I do think some of the stories here are interesting. Baby-hungry single women and the men who insist on having the snip before dating them. The confessions that reveal a troubling new front in the battle of the sexes. 3 months into a fledgling relationship, divorcee Dan Short was in bed with his attractive, much younger partner when she whispered a proposal that punctured the mood. It wasn't so much an actual demand as a loaded question that had Dan reconsidering the future, not only with her but about his life in general. Yes, the 50-year-old father of two was besotted. "I was punching well above my weight," he admits, but one thing was entirely out of the question: more children. So when in the heat of the moment his 30-something girlfriend asked whether they should use contraception or not, he found himself in a quandary that was later to result in a rather drastic action. "There was such a big question mark at the end of the sentence," recalls Dan. "I didn't doubt she'd make a fantastic mother, but that wasn't what I wanted." While the couple did use contraception that night, things fizzled out weeks later. Dan says, "It wasn't a coincidence that I went on to have a vasectomy shortly afterwards. As dramatic a reaction as that may seem, Dan still maintains it's a prudent course of action, not just for himself, but for other divorced dads dating childless younger women." He explains, "On numerous occasions during my single life, women have casually asked about contraception. You do have to be careful because these are the ones looking for a man to father their children, and they can be ruthless in the pursuit of that." Now, you don't have to be especially wealthy to have experienced this. How many of you out there have had a girlfriend say to you, "You don't need to use a condom because I just had my period and I can't get pregnant"? straight after it's finished. I know I have, more than once, and it's nonsense. There may be a reduced chance, but women can get pregnant at any time. So the author of this piece has been a psychotherapist for 20 years and claims there are several factors behind this: the high rate of marital breakdown, men fearful of being tricked, and single women in their 30s and now even 40s suddenly experiencing the all-encompassing desire to become mothers. In some cases, they are becoming increasingly predatory about seeking father material. Although convinced they didn't want children while they built their careers, suddenly, bam, their biological clock starts ticking. It really can happen overnight. They will do anything and everything to pursue this, even if it means duping a man into having unprotected sex. Steve McLaren, a 41-year-old physiotherapist from Newcastle who describes modern dating tactics as terrifying, is another man without regrets about taking back control. After his marriage collapsed in 2015, Steve tried dating sites such as Plenty of Fish and Tinder, only to be astonished at how brazen some women were about wanting a baby. Even if you put on your dating profile no to the question, would you consider having children, it is still the first question some women ask. The whole experience was a bit terrifying, if I'm honest. There's a sense they're hunting for Mr. Right Now and that they need to cram in having a baby before it's too late. There's no subtlety about it whatsoever. Martin Thomas, 42, said that he began to worry about having to take a woman's word when she said she was taking contraception. There was never any particular incident, just those anxious feelings of knowing your future was resting in someone else's hands. I was always very vocal about this too. While women always tell you what you want to hear, every man knows of another chap who's received the dreaded, "Darling, I don't know how it's happened, but guess what? We're having a baby" call. I wanted to be able to enjoy the intimate company of women, but without the worry of getting that one message that most guys in my situation dread. You see, this is the kind of stuff that should be talked about on International Men's Day, not gender equality. But of course, these are narratives, and another name for narratives is anecdotes, and we should always remember that the plural of anecdote does not equal data. Not all vasectomies are carried out by men trying to ward off baby-hungry single women. Some get the procedure done at the behest of their wives who also don't want more children. It's much easier and reliable for a man to get the snip than a woman to take the pill, and it's less expensive than a woman being sterilised. And as a study in the UK showed last year, the number of vasectomies fell by nearly 2/3 in the last 10 years, according to the NHS. In 2004-05, there were 31,216 vasectomies, but there were just 11,113 in 2014-15, according to NHS statistics. Experts believe men are increasingly waiting until they are older to start families, and said many could be avoiding the procedure in case they divorce and want to have more children later in life. The article also notes that the procedure has been restricted in some areas of the NHS, while in November last year a document from the Mid-Essex Clinical Commissioning Group revealed there were plans to save money by cutting back on vasectomies, which it argued were available privately and relatively cheaply. Claire Murphy of the British Pregnancy Advisory Service told the Daily Mail there were social trends at play behind the declining numbers. People are waiting longer to start and finish their family, so men today may be significantly older by the time they start considering the snip, she said. In some areas, vasectomies have been rationed to try to save money, even though in the longer term this is an extremely cost-effective option. So I wonder how much of the decline has to do with being less available under the NHS. Anyway, if you are considering the snip as an American male, you might want to consider the timing, as a lot of American men already do. In the last several years, urologists across the country have reported increases of as much as 50% in the number of vasectomies scheduled in the days leading to the NCAA tournament. If you don't know what that is, it's a college basketball tournament. Yeah, I had to look that up. With a little bit of clever scheduling, it appears men have found a loophole that turns one of life's more unpleasant procedures into a 4-day vasectomy vacation that coincides perfectly with March Madness. No wonder so many urologists now offer full-blown Vas Madness celebrations with discounts and extended hours during the tournament. T-shirts, food, sports memorabilia, and even ice bags with team logos to replace the traditional bag of frozen peas. During last year's tournament, the Urology Associates of Cape Cod lured patients with pizza coupons and an ad featuring the tagline, "Want to watch college basketball guilt-free?" This year, a urology group in Austin, Texas is sponsoring a "It's Hip to Get Snipped" Vas Madness promotion that includes extended office hours during games, continuous TV coverage in the lobby, free snacks, a pledge to have patients ready for love by the postseason, and the icing on the cake, official doctor's orders prescribing 3 days on the couch. Well then, if you're going to get the snip for whatever reason, plan it around a marathon of sitting in front of the TV, watching your favourite sports event, or perhaps binge watching some TV series you've never seen. So have you had or are you thinking about getting the snip? Let me know your thoughts and reasons why in the comments below. I'll see you next time.